Welcome back to another Wisdom Wednesday discussion. I am Sans Inspire, your guide, generating, uplifting, inspiring, developing, and empowering you to live inspired every day forever, because that's life. Today, real recognizes real. We're talking about walking in truth so that we live as proof. And so we want to start, as always, by affirming ourselves. So the affirmation that we have for today, I honor my truth with clarity, integrity, and commitment. I recognize myself and I walk as proof. Towards the end of that, I think is the most important aspect. The beginning and the end. I honor my truth and I recognize myself. Two things that we need to do more of is, honoring our truth, my truth. We have a big thing about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But how do we know the truth if we haven't identified what our internal truth is? So honoring our truth and then recognizing ourselves. I think when we are honoring someone else's truth, which is what we've been given, it doesn't allow us to recognize ourselves. Therefore, we don't walk as proof of self. We walk as proof of somebody else. And we are here to prove ourselves right. So the intent of this discussion, as always, is to uplift, empower, and inspire you to live rooted in your truth, to remind yourselves that authenticity is not about them. It's about you. It's not about being seen. It's about being known internally, not externally. First by yourself, then by others around you. And the others around you will be aligned with your purpose. So by just being ourselves, we allow those who want to be around us to gather around us. We're not seeking to be around anymore. Oh, well, I want to be over here and that's where everybody is, so I want to go over there. No, we're going to find a spot where we want to be and we're going to plot ourselves there and allow things to come to us. That is more of a peaceful way of existing. And we're talking about existing every day, right? In joy, our natural state of being. That is our theme for this month. That has been our theme for life. But this is really what we're highlighting this month is as we go through this abundance. It is abundance within ourselves. And so to be in joy, our natural state is to be prosperous, is to experience prosperity. And this may be something that we're not used to. You know, a lot of times we think of prosperity as financial. You know, how much money are we making? And I ain't gonna lie to you, I think of that a lot myself. You know, I am not somebody who is above any of this. You know, I'm in it to win it. So I'm in it with you. And we are just, developing ourselves as we go so that the outcome becomes a more grounded individual, right? Our inner compass, based on our integrity, our clarity, and our personal recognition, is set, right? We now know who we are, so we no longer seek to be validated by the world. We are in it, but we're not of it, okay? So we're affirmed by truth. We're not seeking for you to understand and accept or validate our truth because we're not seeking to impose it on you. We want to be who we are and have the space to grow in that, to develop in that. That's what this is truly about. So, as we begin our discussion, right, I want to ask a question. If you never got recognized for your truth, would you still be committed to it? If you never got recognized for your truth, would you still be committed to it? And also, is your value based on applause or alignment? And these questions we pose at the beginning so you can reflect on them. Maybe what you say to yourself now will be different at the end of this discussion. Maybe what you say now will be different by the end of tomorrow or a week or a month. It's not about us trying to judge necessarily ourselves, but understand. We want to know where we are. I talk a lot about that when you're in the mall, which we don't have a lot of in this country, but there is a map, right? And it says you are here. It is telling us where we are so that now we know, okay, we want to go to this store, but we're here. We need to go that way. This is the same thing that I'm saying to you now is our discussions are meant for us to find where we are. Okay. And once we find where we are, we can determine where we want to go. A lot of times we're trying to go somewhere before we even know where we headed. Like, all right, get in the car, start driving. Where are we going? I don't know. Wherever the wind takes us, you don't want to be necessarily a part of that. You want to develop the understanding of that. But a lot of people are saying that go with the flow where the wind goes. That is meant when you know how to sail. You don't jump in a boat and say, I'm going where the wind goes. Okay, you can. You're not going to know where you end up. So it's like being lost, right? So what we're saying is we're learning to understand ourselves, which now we know where we are. We can determine where we want to go, and it's less fearful. We're less uncertain. We're less doubtful. And we need more or less of that, I should say. More confidence in ourselves, more belief, and less of the fear and the uncertainty and doubt that keeps us from that moves us away from experiencing and appreciating, and pushes us more towards this survival where we're so focused on the outside and the problems are coming from inside. And so we want to rearrange, right? We want to align ourselves within our truth and with our life. So this is a personal quote for myself. This is the first time I'm doing this really, but it fit, and it is actually what generated this discussion. Because again, we don't have these picked out ahead of time. So I was having a conversation with somebody this week. Someone was really close to me, and we were talking, and it just hit me because they were speaking about how rare, like, and I'm right there. So this is in no way that I was trying to say that they were wrong, but how a conversation sparks, right? Further understanding and a development of that. So they were saying how rare things are. And I just thought for a minute, and it was like, real isn't rare. Recognition is. When you're rooted in your truth, you see it everywhere. So I started to see where I wasn't necessarily even adhering to something that I once believed. I used to think that real is rare. And it wasn't until I had this conversation that another thought form or direction was presented to me to say that real isn't rare. It's not that real is rare. It's that we are able to recognize real isn't rare. It is rarely recognized. So that is because we're not rooted in our truth. So if we're saying real recognizes real and you look in the mirror and you don't recognize, it is not that you are not real or not rare. You're not recognizing it. So this is where real recognizes real. When you become that, this is something that is said to us as if it's like, oh, this is the explanation why your life is going a certain way, or why that interaction went that way, or this is how we justify somebody who did us wrong, or however we use it. We say real recognize real. So if you ain't real, but it's like what is real because we're not seeing it. So does that mean that it's rare? No, it's always been there. It's always been there. Your ability to recognize that is the difference. You have always been there. You haven't recognized it. Rarity is real. More than real is rare. Rare is real. And we rarely recognize the real. Because when you look at yourself, do you see it? Do you feel it? Do you understand it? No. This is why we go outside of ourselves because we don't think that it is in there. We don't believe it exists because we cannot recognize it. So in this discussion, this is what we're going to talk about. Recognizing the real and not simply believing only in the rarity. Because we don't want to continue to add to a disillusion or a detachment in the sense of you don't believe that you are rare, but you think that rarity exists outside somewhere, but not in you. So again, you keep looking or you're not looking because you don't think that it's there. You can't recognize the rarity in yourself. So it's not real. So you hear that and you keep wondering and you're not applying it to you. Real recognizes real. Do you recognize yourself? For you are real. You didn't just become that one day. You started to see that. And it starts with that belief in ourselves because authenticity becomes visible when we stop performing and we start aligning. Because for a majority of my life, I was performing. I was a part of it too. I'm doing the song and dance, whatever we need to do to get attention. And in this age where we're on social media, you are literally seeing people do whatever it takes to get attention from somebody else, from others. And then those others begin to dictate how you act. So if they say, we want you to start doing this now, you're going to start doing that. So we become hostage to society. Society is going to dictate. Social media dictates what we do and what we say. Because if it's trending, you're going to start doing it. This is the dilemma that we face. This is what I hear in conversation every day when I'm speaking to clients, when I'm speaking to potential clients, when I'm speaking to mentees. It's always about, well, I don't want to do that. And I know this on social media that everybody's doing it. Why are we focused on what everybody is doing? Since when was everybody right? Everybody doesn't even know or agree on what's going to happen, yet we're trusting and believing in everybody. That's the issue. When you see everybody doing it, it's probably time to start a new direction, to go a different direction. And that direction starts internally. So you are making the moves based off of how you feel, based off of the things that are coming from you. That is how we are aligning ourselves. We got to get out of line to get aligned. And so a spiritual anchor that we can attach to this is in John chapter 3, verse 8. It says, the wind bloweth where it listeth. So is everyone that is born of spirit. The wind bloweth where it listeth. So is everyone that is born of spirit. The wind blows wherever, just goes, right? And we talked about this in our last discussion, how authenticity becomes visible, right? How we must be authentic to be in that natural state of joy. So this now adds to that, right? Because it's talking about our authenticity and how it is not tethered to approval, like the wind. The wind doesn't need your approval. The wind doesn't ask you if it's okay to blow. It does. And you're going to adjust to it. The wind blowing too hard, you know what you need to do. If it's not blowing at all, you're begging for it. Please, please, please. So the wind bloweth just like everyone born of the Spirit. It didn't say everyone born. It said of the Spirit. We're talking about internal. So when you are born, when you go through that internal fire and you have developed yourself because you went through that internal fire. And if you're going through it, you know what we're talking about. It's not easy and it's hot in that kitchen, boy. And so going through that, you become like the wind. Remember, Bruce Lee told us, be like water, flow. The wind, very similar, just blows. I no longer look for your approval, because if I was looking for your approval, I wouldn't even be sitting in front of this camera. I would not be sitting on this app talking. I'd be waiting for somebody to tell me it was okay to do it. So the thing that I have become proficient in and I begin to develop would never have come to life if I listened to everybody else. If I followed society and what people told me, I wouldn't be here. It's because I defied that and I went against that because I had an internal conviction like, no, no, no. I hear what y'all are saying, but inside me, like it's more, it's telling me, it's pushing me, it's leading me. And I trusted in that gut feeling, not the thought of what they would say, what they would think, but the feeling. Because the thought will mislead us. You're going to be thinking about how to laugh at you, how you're unqualified, how you're this and that. And your gut will be telling you something different. The feeling in your gut, there's like a fire burning. Like you've never, you're not, you don't have a degree in it. You weren't learned in it. You developed yourself and there's a fire, a passion telling you to do it. That thought is going to mislead you because that thought is just like the words of those others. You're asking them because you want their approval. Your action, let that be your approval. Or in Matthew chapter 7, verse 20, it says, wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them. So again, it's not saying wherefore by acceptance, by the acknowledgement of others, by the appreciation of society. No, it says wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them. So truth leaves trails. You can follow the truth. It ain't gonna ever give you to a dead end. Truth will never take you to a dead end where you're stuck. It leaves trails. You can follow it. Therefore, your integrity can be your fruit. It is your fruit. So again, waiting around for others, you don't produce fruit. That leads us to a dead end. When we act, our action becomes the fruit that we bear. And you can follow each act that we took to see how we ended up wherever we ended up. Whether that be up high in a success or down low in a quote unquote failure. You can follow that, especially if you're moving in truth. We can see that. Are you being truthful with yourself? Or are you trying to say, no, it was them, they did it, it wasn't me? That's going to lead you to a dead end and you'll never find the answer. The truth will leave trails. And if you follow it, you'll find your way. This leads us to being born of the Spirit. For right now, we have been living in the flesh. And so I'm not one of those that's going to try to, because again, this isn't religion to me. This is spirituality. And we want to break free of that container that is controlling you, that is dictating you. So I'm not here to say, you are wrong for this. No, no, no. I'm just here again. There's a map and I want to put a point on there, say you are here. You can decide where you want to go after that. This is a judgment-free zone because who am I to judge? Judge not, lest ye be judged first, right? And I'm too busy on myself to be worried about you. Yet I do understand, okay, hey, I got time to relay a message, to share insights with you, because we all want to live a more peaceful, prosperous, present life, right? And there are ways that we can do that. We have been prescribed with how to do this. So again, me saying this to you isn't even because I wanted to. I was looking for approval. I was waiting for them to tell me what to do. And there was a knock upon my chamber door. Like, wait, what's going on? Huh? I don't want to go out there. I'm not. And I end up being here talking to you right now. And this is not something that I ever wanted to do. It wasn't on the list. It was something that like was the furthest thing from my mind. And that's what we're talking about. When I had the wheel and I was thinking of what to do, I was lost. Once I let go and was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. And this is what I want to experience. I was presented with this path to go on. And it was scary. But I recognized the reality. I was honoring my truth, recognizing myself, and decided, you know what? It's time to act and let the fruits be what I shall be known for. So it's not something that we're sitting here trying to tell you something out of that we read or that we memorized, because I'm not one of those people. I don't memorize. I don't even know half the shit I'm talking about. I am experimenting just like you and bringing back my findings. And so these things are almost borderline where it's like, no, you can do this and apply it to your life. So it's not do exactly what Sans is doing or what he says. It is to say that there is a way, and maybe we have just not been listening, not been inviting, not been verifying and expressing. So therefore our experiences have been the same, and we have been living an uninspired life, and we want to begin to live an inspired life. To never stop prospering, it requires effort daily in order to live inspired every day forever, because that's life. And your life is meant to be inspired because your natural state is to live in joy. And so to share a cultural proverb, this is an African proverb from Igbo in Nigeria. It says, the lion does not turn around when a small dog barks. The lion said, because the lion, no, man, what do I look like? Us, me, humans, we turn. What was that? Y'all heard that? Why? Because confidence in your truth silences external noise. I'm a lion, bro. Why am I turning around for that? Unless that growl is larger than mine, I'm not even paying attention. Because I am confident in who I am. So I don't need to turn around and look every time something happens or a noise happens. And this is something I learned personally because I'm a man, right? And we want companionship. And there are so many people teaching you about what masculinity and manhood is. And they tell you, you better be a high earner. You better do this and you better do that. And the whole time you're looking around like this, you're just looking. Because you're trying to do so much to garner the attention of the outside world that I had to admit, wait, if I'm trying to get y'all attention, then what do I think of myself personally? You must be more important than me. Because to be honest, you should be trying to get my attention. So how do I turn that around instead of chasing attention or trying to attract, become that which attracts? I had to go in. I had to realize, well, first of all, the lion doesn't turn around when a small dog barks. So what's the important thing? Am I confident in my truth, in myself? Or as soon as somebody says something, I'm turning around. If I get a compliment, I'm going, oh my goodness, thank you. Oh. Now I'm falling in love with everything and everyone simply because it's not in me. So I didn't have that self-love. So if you expressed anything, I just gave it all to you because I've never heard anybody say that I'm strong or handsome or smart or intelligent. And as a father with daughters, this was very important. And I started to understand that later on in life, why empowering words, affirmations offer protection later on. So that little girl isn't going out there hearing for the first time you're pretty by somebody who means her not well. And so, boom, she just falls victim for the trap because she didn't know any better. She understands her self-worth. So it's not that she's like not accepting of that. She's appreciative, but she knows that there's more to it than that. I didn't have that. I didn't know that. I didn't know there was more to me. I thought there was nothing to me. So if somebody said anything positive to me, any little noise made me react because my confidence wasn't intact. As my confidence began to be built up, those things didn't move me anymore. I didn't react to everything that I heard or saw. I could sit still. Now I pride myself that I'm like, well, I could be in a room full of vultures. What did Kanye say? How can you be faithful in a room full of 304s? This is what I pride myself on, be in a room and just it is what it is because I'm confident in me. I don't need to react to those things. Now, do you fall victim here and there? Of course, because that's human nature. We are developing ourselves, not professing to be, oh, I am the Buddha. I am against all. No, come on, bro. We are here. Like you are on this plane of existence. And in order to exist, we must know reality, right? You are going to be tempted at times, yet you can develop the strength in yourself not to be, the discipline not to be, the resilience. Yet we cannot spend our time trying to beat ourselves up, trying to demean ourselves. I spent a lot of time doing that personally because there was no self-recognition until I realized the power of self-recognition. When you see yourself clearly, you stop waiting for others to define, discover, or recognize you, relate. You don't look for that anymore because you begin to see who you really are. And when you begin to see who you really are, you're not seeing the negatives that you used to highlight about yourself. When you got freckles or eyelashes ain't lashing enough, I don't know. For me, it was like I had buck teeth and a gap. Like, damn, boy, you got buck teeth, a gap, and an overbite. Oh, it's over for you. That's how I felt. And it was over for me at that time. But I said, lucky for you, I felt like that because I would have been oh my goodness, I would have been a demon time. But we had to develop that discipline, right? Because what is it? What is it? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Simply saying that you want that responsibility of the crown comes with a lot of responsibility. So yes, heavy is the head that wears the crown, but strong is the neck which supports. We don't really add on to these sayings. We just take the negative part and then it becomes justification for why we falter instead of seeing empowerment in these things. Like, yes, heavy is the head that wears the crown because that crown is heavy. So it's weighing down the head, but that neck should be strong. Strong is that neck because that supports the head. So we're not necessarily stopping at, oh my God, so much responsibility I can't help, I can't handle. We're reinforcing that understanding with, yes, that responsibility is going to be heavy, but I'm supported and I can handle it. Good. It didn't take away from those responsibilities. Now we know that these responsibilities are going to be heavy. Okay. But we also know that we're supported and we can handle it. Let's go. That's different than somebody just telling you, man, the responsibilities, it's going to be hard and it's heavy. And you're like, oh, now you're just focusing and worrying about how heavy those responsibilities are, not realizing how strong you are to handle it. And so something that we can do daily, right? Here you come with that journal word again. Writing prompts, right? Write a promise to yourself. Promise something to yourself. And don't just write it down and make it an empty promise. Promise something to yourself and then honor it relentlessly. Why? Because we make promises to everybody else. We promise them to show up, and then we do everything in our power to show up. Rain, sleet, hail, or snow, we cancel everything to show up for others. But then when it comes to ourselves, we're not gonna keep our promises. And I'm a fan of Drew Hill. And they said, I never make a promise that I can't keep. And that stuck with me. So I said, if I make a promise to you, then I better be able to make that promise to me times 10. Because if I'm going to promise something to someone else, but not devote and promise to myself, what are we even talking about? That's an unfulfilling life. It means I'm going to always show up for you when you need me. But when I need me, I ain't going to be nowhere to be found. And guess who else ain't going to be there? All them other people that you supported. Because what do we complain about? How I supported everybody and gave everybody my all and did everything. But when it was my time, nobody was there. Somebody should have been there. And it should have been you. So the fact that nobody was there meant that you even left yourself for dead. You was with them. But you want to point the finger at them. I would leave too if you left. What, I'm staying at your house and you ain't even here for? You walked out the door, we walked out the door. You don't support yourself, we don't support you. Why you mad at me? Because it takes the responsibility from you. Real recognizes real. And that means that I recognize my role in it. So I handle that. I take care of that. Okay, I wasn't supporting myself. I am going to support myself. I'm going to support myself now. So I don't have to talk about you. The moment I say I'm going to support myself and then I actually act on it and start supporting myself, there is no more room for you if you're not supporting me. Because by not supporting me, it's not about me. You're showing that you don't support yourself. And I am not going to be around those who don't support themselves, because then you ain't going to support me. This is how we reverse it for all those people who want to talk about ego, ego, ego. I'm telling you right now, let go of my ego. Because this is mine. So don't worry about my ego. Worry about yours. And understanding that. So we got so many people that prescribe to others. Jump in the comments and gonna talk about what you say, what you do, your life. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. For in Galatians chapter 6, verse 4, it says, let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another. Let every man prove his own work. So I don't care what you in the comments saying. I don't care what you texting me saying, emailing me, calling me. I don't care what you hear on social media, what they're saying, because it says let every man prove his own work. So they should prove what they're saying. And I am focused on proving myself right. I don't worry about you. Because if I'm worried about proving myself right, then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone. This is why it's hard for you to see us living in our natural state of joy. And what is he smiling about? And why is he so happy? And it makes you angry because you aren't in the business of proving your own work. You trying to prove somebody else wrong. You ain't going to rejoice in yourself with that. You're going to try to go to others and be like, see, told y'all he was wrong. No. When you prove yourself right, it ain't no I told you so. Why would I take my time to stop and say I told y'all? I know what I know. And I'm telling you that you can live inspired every day forever. I am telling you that losers inspire everyone. I'm showing you how. Whether you believe it or not, it does not matter to me. I'm going to keep doing it. And when the time comes, I've already done it. So there is no time that's going to come where I'm going to rejoice in myself because I've already done it and I do it every single day. So therefore, I rejoice in myself alone, not in another. Joy begins with honoring my path, with honoring me. And there are a lot of people that got it confused. They get nervous when they hear I and me. Yet, if you actually have read, when we pick up the books and we read them so that we can act upon what we're being prescribed, you see it clear as day. There is never a scripture in the Bible, in the Quran. There's not one in the Upanishads. There's not one in the Bhagavad Gita. Buddha don't say it. They all talking I's and me. Jesus said, I can do all things. And you know why you are persecuted? For that reason, for believing in himself through the power of the Most High. And you have a problem with that because for whatever reason, you was told the opposite, and now you have believed that, which is not true, to the point where you stand on it, and you will come to someone else's life and tell them how they are not living right. But yet you cannot show where you are without sin. Because doesn't it say, yet leave ye without sin, cast the first stone? So why you keep throwing rocks? It's because real recognizes real. And we don't have time to be throwing rocks at other people because we are recognizing the real. You walk in truth and you live as proof. For again, Matthew 6:22 says, the light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, the whole body shall be full of light. And this is a deeper. This is why we're talking about spirituality. However, we're not going to go into that aspect of this verse. What we are talking about, what we are using this verse to illuminate is how clarity is born when our focus is on truth, not attention. So the light in the body is the eye. And if therefore that eye be single, thy whole body shall be filled with light, clarity, and focus. Not attention. The eye cannot be single when you're trying to look around at everything everybody is doing and what is society and social media. And I ain't single. Now you have multiple eyes, 1,000 of them. They're all on your face, popping out all over, looking everywhere, instead of focusing on thy single eye and letting your whole body be filled with light. Being the light is on, you start acting out. So there's nowhere, again, we started this by saying that truth, right? Truth leaves a trail. And there is nothing that I've said so far that you can't follow into light. It's not a dead end. And when people are talking to us and it leads us to dead ends, we need to dead that and move on. We have been listening to dead speech that leads us nowhere. How do we know? Because we've been facing the same things over and over. I should not still be going through what my grandparents went through. If I'm going through what my grandparents went through, then something ain't changed. The light ain't on. Because if we're proving the work, then we should be rejoicing. And if we ain't rejoicing, we must not have been working. But if we're talking about working, maybe we're working in the wrong areas or on the wrong things. Because we're not seeing the fruits from any of this. How are we at a time where it seems like more of the world seems to be falling in despair? It tells you right here, let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself, not in another. it says that whereof, wherefore by their fruits shall ye be known. So where the fruits at? We starving. So we must get to work. And that external work that we've been doing for so long that produces a dollar hasn't produced a dime for the spirit. So external work, reduce it. Internal work, increase it. Guess what happens when we increase external work and reduce internal work? The spirit is diminished and our whole life is cloudy. When we reverse that and we start to put more work internally, reducing the external work, our light begins to shine. Our life feels lighter and our finances still increase too. So one of these ways we go to increase our finances and it produces more of a headache, more trauma, more a decreasing in health. So we go more outside and it decreases more of our experience inside and outside. We go inside and it increases everything. Yet it's the difficult path. It's the one that we don't believe in. We don't recognize. So real ain't rare as much as it's rarely recognized. For he who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened. This word light keeps coming out everywhere we go. So if that light ain't on, Lao Tzu just told us that it's time for us to know ourselves. For self-awareness is the foundation of our power. So then that can also mean that our integrity then is our compass. And we develop that daily. Yet we must understand that integrity is not perfection. Integrity is not perfection. Us seeking to be perfect. Me wanting this thing to look a certain way before I actually put it out or do it. We ought to do away with that. Because I would still be waiting. Because that's what I suffer from and still do at times. This thought of perfection, wanting it to be perfect because that's all that happens. Wait, but don't, it's not ready. And it's the things that I actually may not like as much or may not understand or may not be perfected that when I put them out there, they do the most. The things that I try to perfect and make look perfect, when I put it out there, you're like, damn, I spent all this time editing and making the lighting right and doing all this. Yep. And it just drops. And the thing that I just didn't even think about, I said, you know what? Forget it. I'm just put it out there. It gets the most engagement, most reception. How? It's because we're not looking for perfection. So our integrity is not perfection. What it is consistency between who we are and how we show up. So we are going to be consistent with who we are and how we show up. So if I am telling you that I'm a guide generating, uplifting, inspiring, developing, and empowering you everywhere I show up, I am generating, uplifting, inspiring, developing, and empowering. Maybe you didn't know that. But now that's what I'm relaying to you. Like, hey, this is me. And my integrity means that who I am and how I show up is consistent. So anybody that meets me should be able to say, okay, that's Sans, and yep, he's consistent because he says that he inspires, and everywhere he shows up, that's what we see happening. He's uplifting, he's empowering, he's inspiring anybody that he's around. This is our integrity. It's when that is not consistent that we lack that integrity. You have seen people make promises that they don't keep. They say they're this type of person, but they don't show up as that. You see them on the news or whatever, and they're saying, yes, I am sorry for this. And in the background, you got like their assistant, like rolling their eyes or whatever, or people that know them. That person's lying. They are nothing like that. Like, that's not who they are. That's your integrity. And our integrity, for the most part, society's integrity doesn't match up. It don't align. There's not consistency between who society says it is and how it shows up. It changes every 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. That's why every generation we're talking about the same thing, our childhood, the good old days. Because the things that 10 years ago we said, hey, society said, don't do that, that's wrong. 10 years later, society says, do that, that's right. And you're like, if I am dictated by y'all, I'm going to be all over the place. I have no foundation, nowhere to stand. I am a plastic bag in the wind, blown all over the place. When I would rather be like a tree who is rooted and may sway, whose leaves may leave, but they still grow back and return. That bag being blown in the wind has no home, has no foundation. It just goes wherever and is unappreciated. It's time that we root down. Because once we are rooted, that is us showing the appreciation for ourselves. And we root ourselves and we grow from there and then become appreciated over time. But the tree don't care nothing about that. It wants soil that it can grow in. And as it grows to be this huge, tall tree and produces fruit or whatever, you develop an appreciation for it. That's where we are. We're not asking, is it okay if I go? No, we are determining where is safe for us, where it's okay for us. We're rooting ourselves down there and allowing that appreciation to happen over time. And even if that appreciation didn't happen, oh well, because as we said, the first question that I asked was, if you never got recognized for your truth, will you still be committed to it? And I'm here to say, yes, I would. Because I'm still committed to it now. I have been committed to it. And there was no recognition that came. We're still unrecognized. And that doesn't matter because that's society not recognizing. Real recognize real every day. When I step in that mirror, I know exactly who I am and I know my relation to my Father, to the Most High, to God, to the universe, to my ancestors, to the spirit guides, whatever term and definitions you like to afford to it. And this is possible for everyone. Your daily habits are going to define your authenticity more than any label or title. So what are you doing on the daily? Are you disciplining yourself to determine when that negative thought happens so you can change it around and push it the other way? Or are you just allowing them to happen and you're chasing them? Every thought that pops up, you're following it. Your daily habit is to complain and do nothing. Your daily habit is to be lazy, always making excuses. That's so you put that pin on the map and say, that's where I am right now. I'm being lame. I'm lazy, always making excuses. I want to change that though. So then I got to stop being lazy. I got to stop making excuses. So that simply means I got to act on the things that I say. It's not rocket science. We will look at that and say, I ain't no lame. I ain't lazy. I ain't making excuses because we want to lie to ourselves. That don't make you feel good. I was lazy. I was making excuses. And the moment that I said, man, it's time for me to stop being lazy. In order to stop being lazy, you got to get up. It's simple. Get up. I used to talk to myself and think that to believe what society said and was like, what is it? It's you're an overthinker. I just say this shit to myself. I'm an overthinker. And one day it was like, having a conversation with God, it just put on my heart. It was like, so if you overthink, would you want to not think? Would you rather be an underthinker? It was like, well, no. Okay, so if you're an overthinker, then what does that mean? That I'm thinking on all these thoughts, right? And what are you not doing? Acting on any of them. So you keep producing thoughts. If you are acting out on your thoughts, right? You're not overthinking. Guess what you become? An overproducer. And if you're overproducing, guess what you can do? Provide for others. You have a problem that's causing a problem, or you are the problem. Understanding that, wait, believing, right? You are what you believe, inspired. We say that because as long as I believed I was an overthinker, I was doing that. I was sitting around having all these thoughts, writing them out, all these thoughts, but wasn't acting on them. When it said to do this and to do that, I wouldn't act on it. When I'm walking down the street singing, do I did he did he dumb did he do, I don't know why that came to my head right now, but when I'm walking down the street and something says, approach this person, then I'm too scared and I don't. That was an opportunity that I missed. Right? Believing in those things before I even verified if that was for me. So when I realized what overthinking was, I started acting out and I started producing more. When I realized what procrastination was, that I was a procrastinator, that I was just sitting on my hands procrastinating. And it was like, why am I doing this? Oh, there's a fear that is cause you to be uncertain and doubtful. So you're going to procrastinate. You look like this. You look like you glitching. So you must fearlessly go. So don't procrastinate, which is tied to your overthinking. It says approach that person, and you're going to say, what would you say? What do I do? What? No, just do the first thing. Approach them, and watch how once you approach, there's going to be another prompt that comes up. Say this. You say it, you act out. Now you're starting to see the alignment. But what we do is we don't. We reject it. I'm not doing that. So what are you actually rejecting? And what are you actually accepting at the end of the day? What have you rejected and what have you accepted? Shout out. It's 144. This is coming to me, so I'm going to just say it because it's in the news. It's all over, right? Shout out to Shador. Because matter of fact, just shout out to like the whole family. The fact of what happened, and this is a sidebar, what just happened in an NFL draft, right? To an individual, and everybody wanted to make it reflect on this person. And this person still continues to keep the same mindset that I believe within myself because God doesn't put me in situations unless and everybody else wants to diminish that. But the reason why I brought that up is because they have a merch line and it says 144 and it said the rejected shall be respected. That's the only reason why I brought it up. However you feel about Shador Sanders don't matter to me. Debate that somewhere else. Bringing it up because this is a prime example. The rejected shall be respected. This isn't just about Shador. This is about you. What you have rejected shall be respected. For what you are rejecting is yourself. So if you rejected it, you weren't respecting it. So someone else disrespecting you because we disrespect ourselves. And yet we're made in the image. So who are we really disrespecting? What are we really disrespecting? Remember, just because you say, I don't believe, that's free will. Yet it does not take away from the fact that you are what you believe. And you are not believing in yourself. You are not real until you begin to align. This is why real ain't rare. It's rarely recognized because we don't recognize the most real thing that there is. Clarity grows where commitment lives. A quote for reflection. And the scriptural wisdom that we have to back this up comes from Proverbs chapter 10, verse 9. He that walketh uprightly walketh surely, but he that perverteth his ways shall be known. Allow, not allow. Your integrity brings peace. Your inconsistency breeds instability. He that walk uprightly walketh surely. Confidence. I know myself. No matter what you say. But he that perverteth his ways shall be known. To pervert is to twist or distort. To be known is to be exposed. So those that want to pervert and twist and distort, they're going to be exposed. So don't worry about that. Don't try to do that. Stop trying to twist and distort things for monetary gains, for immediate gains, for fleeting happiness. And understand how to walk uprightly, because that means you will be walking surely, head high, shoulders back, confident. Too many times we are trying to pervert and twist things because we want more likes, shares, and because of that, that's going to bring us more popularity and people are going to believe in us and then we'll matter. No, you won't. That is showing how much society matters because we're doing it all for the attention of others instead of doing it for the love and appreciation of ourselves. I want to give this, period. That's why I come here every single day, whether you like it or not. My last video had 4 views. I don't care because it ain't about that. But that just shows me something. If 4 people viewed it, hey, that's all I need to see. But before that, it started with me. I had to recognize the realness within myself in order to get to a point where I was willing, able, and ready to go to war for myself. So that when those trolls and those bots and those people start talking, it's not going to move me. Because you're perverting your ways. You'll be exposed for that later on. I don't have time to do that because I came from that. Spent my life doing that, perverting my ways, trying to get those immediate gratifications, and it didn't get me much. But some immediate gratification that was not lasting. I had to do away with those childish things and understand that, okay, it's going to take time. Now I pride myself in growth. I like to see something start small and get bigger. Why would you want to go all out the first time and then the next time you're diminishing, you're falling down? See, but that's our mindset because we want to put on a show for others. So I want the biggest, most extravagant. So then people are talking about it and they believe in it, but then there is no consistency. The next time, if there is a next time, now it's canceled. Now we didn't even last 6 months and we're closed down. And now in the minds of the people, they're saying, see, this is what happens. They're always opening and closing. There's no trust then. Everything erodes when we are external over internal. And so from James chapter 5, verse 12, it says, and this was one of my favorites because it's like, stand on it. This is standing on business. It says, let your yea be yea and your nay, nay. Right? Say what you mean what you say, and avoid elaborate oaths and promises. I said yes. You know what? Somebody will say, will you do it? You'll be like, yes, I will. And then they say, are you sure? And you'll say, yes, I promise that I'll do it. And I promise you that if I don't do it, that I ain't doing that. Nope. My yay is my yay and my nay is my nay. So I am going to say what I mean and mean what I say. If I said yes, I said yes. That's on you. We got to stop allowing people to make us doubt ourselves. You ever said something to somebody and said, they were like, hey, I need your help tomorrow, 3 p.m. Can you be there? You say, yes, I'll be there. And they say, are you sure you'll be there? Because the last person, now you're thinking like, well, no more. Yes, I'll do it. Are you sure? I'm just going to turn and walk away. I said, yes, I'll be there. If I said no, I'm not. I'm not going to let you convince me, convert me. No, it's no. Why? Because we stand on that conviction. We know ourselves. So if I say yay, I know what I'm saying yes to. I've already thought it through. I've already disseminated and made my discernment. I ain't got to do that afterwards. I'm not going to commit and then what did I commit to? No, I'm going to deliberate and figure out what it is. And if we commit, we already know we're fully committed. So there's no need for us to do these elaborate oaths and promises. Because what that's going to do is, if you don't make good on those elaborate oaths and promises, trust diminishes, your brand diminishes, your value diminishes externally. And if you're not rooted, it's going to destroy you internally, because now you're going to see everybody leave and you're going to tear yourself down. See, when you're rooted in that, you're just going to, again, allow your yay to be yay and your nay to be nay. And we ain't going back and forth about it, because we say what we mean and we mean what we say. And I understand if your experience is not mine, this may be the first time you have encountered someone who says what they mean and mean what they say. Hey, I understand that. That's why we are letting you know. And that's why we won't tolerate this. And this is how we're talking to people. It's not in a negative way. We want everybody to know, like, hey, I'm somebody who says what I mean and mean what I say. So if I ever say yes to you, it's a yes. No need to question that. If I say no, it's a no. So what we won't necessarily tolerate is if you're questioning and always coming back, and because that has nothing to do with me. When you let people, when you know yourself, you're going to fearlessly let people know who you are, because that gives them the space to be them. And it also lets them know, like, oh, if you do that and now I no longer want to work with you, I'm no longer a part of this, you know why? You don't have to question or wonder. They say what they mean what they say, and I question that because I didn't believe. That's on me. Maybe we don't see how life is our experience, because I can't feel what you're going through. When we sit down and talk, have a one-on-one, now I can relate to those things. But I don't know you. We don't know each other. A lot of times we're experiencing people through phones now, and we're allowing ourselves to get emotionally attached to people we don't even know in real life. And we're not even that attached to ourselves. And to hell with that. Let's anchor in, not out. Turn your face to the sun and the shadows fall behind you. This is a Maori proverb. Turn your face to the sun and the shadows fall behind you. Focus on your truth and the distractions fade. Focus on being the best me that I can be, and I'm not worried about what I'm not. Focus on the light, and you're not worried about the dark. Maybe it's the fact that we're focused on the distractions, so then the truth is fading. And when we focus on the truth, the distractions fade. So how do I find what's true? Because everybody says it's true. Fox News says they're true. CNN says they're true. That's how we know that they're not true, because they're trying to tell you that they're true. They're trying to convince you that they're true. And I'm telling you, you are true. God is telling you, you are true. The scriptures, the cultural proverbs are telling you, you are truth. Because it's not about them. So we live in a world with loud noise, right? There's performances and opinions. And it seems like the loudest opinions, the most grand performances, are what gets attention. That has nothing to do with truth. So when it's loud outside, when everybody and everything is loud, silence becomes our sanctuary. When you're committed to truth over applause. So if you're committed to applause over truth, you're like, man, forget all what they're saying. We need these numbers, because numbers turn into money and money turns into power. If that's how you believe, then you don't care about truth. You just care about the numbers. Tell them whatever, clickbait, they're going to show up, blah, blah, blah. Great. And in time, those who pervert will be known. Let them have their, in Coming to America, one of my favorite movies, they had first got to New York. They go inside the apartment. Their stuff is outside. They come outside. Their stuff is gone. Somebody walks up to them, opens a robe, and he's like, yo, check out this fine personal hygiene. I got gold, all this. And he's like, hey, man, thief, stop him. He stole our stuff. And the prince, the royal prince of Zamunda, right? He turns to his friend. Akeem turns to Simeon. He says, let them have our princely robes. We are in New York now. Let them have that. So they only care about applause. They want to pervert the truth. So let them have that. We're not worried about what they're doing. Okay? Because we know how it all turns out. It all turns out the same. You're having fun now. We'll see how long that lasts. And when we're talking about noise over truth, the noise that I had in me as an adolescent was that I'm supposed to live it up in my 20s, and then the rest of my life is just thinking about that. And when I reflect back on that, it's kind of crazy because I'm born, and then maybe 1 year, I maybe start talking a few words and start walking between 1 and 2, right? And then maybe about 5, 6, I'm now in a school learning. Then I get to 15 and I'm in high school. Now I'm a teenager and now I'm finally start experiencing. And then at 18, I'm an adult and I got to be out here in society. And so for 10 years, I experience life. I have fun. I'm in my 20s. I'm young for 10 years. And then the moment I reach 30, I'm old as shit now. And all of a sudden my life is over. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. If I live to be 70, that's 50 years. If we only live to be 40, that's 20 more years. So for 10 years, we only live for 10 years of our life. This is what we're saying. It makes no sense to me. So there's no point in wanting to pervert things because that had me living a miserable life because I kept getting those sparks, the dopamine hits. And you got to keep doing that over and over. This is what builds addiction. Why? Because we won't put that distance in. We won't go internally and walk that path to start small and grow big. We forget that this is the process for life. Nothing is born except for an animal, but even that grows. The animals is the only thing that I've seen where it's like it comes out, bloop. Like when I saw a baby giraffe was born, baby giraffe comes out, and within the first hour, it learned how to walk already. But that doesn't mean it is necessarily more or less more advanced in my mind because our lifespans are different. So it has to come out and do that because it has a shorter time. But what I'm simply saying is everything starts from small and has to grow through understanding to get bigger. Yet for whatever reason, because we're forced into this adulthood, we try to rush everything and we're trying to get it as fast as we can. But we didn't realize that everything started from that seed and then it sprouts and then it grows into a big old tree. We want to be the tree. We don't want to start as a seed to roots and stems and then to grow. No, we want to rush it. And so this is why we get exposed. But we don't like being exposed. So then slow down. Stop rushing. Stop trying to pervert, twist, and distort. And develop your internal truth. Move in silence. Stop looking for applause. Because those that applaud you for your greatness will also applaud you at your hanging when they're destroying you. Because those are the people that we look for to make us. So those are the people that will break you. And if they don't make you, they can't break you. So when you let go of who you think you should be, you allow who you are to lead. This is Lao Tzu. And for me, that says that truth is quiet, but it cannot be silenced. Truth is quiet. We're going to let y'all talk all that talk for however long, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, but that truth is going to come out. It can never be silenced. You can distort it. You can do all this stuff, move it around, detract, redact, whatever, but the truth will come out. So the actual thing that has been done this whole time is to twist and distort reality so you don't believe or uh, appreciate or receive or express the truth. What everything has been to distract you so much that you don't know the truth. So then we begin to argue about it and talk about it and discuss it, but we don't become it. We sit around and we talk about it and how wonderful it would be if we go and we talk about all these old philosophers, but we don't become it. Yet you were prescribed to that it was not just possible, not just probable, but it's your purpose. It is our purpose. So, what roles or performances do I still feel tempted to play? And why? What roles or performances do I still feel tempted to play? And why? And so, as we move to close this out, we are now in that prompt, that journal prompt, right? That was a reflection that we just had. But the three questions that I would like to pose to you so you can write these down and develop them for yourself. Again, if you would like to share them with people around you. You want to DM us, share them with us. You want to whatever. But these are meant for you. It's not necessarily meant just for me in the sense like you don't have to tell me about it. You don't have to even write it down if you don't want to. I do these and then prescribe them for you because I know these things are what helps. We see it, right? We understand it, then we go perform it. Okay. So, three journal prompts that I have for this week is number one, what promise to yourself have you not been honoring, and how can you return to it today? What promise to yourself have you not been honoring, and how can you return to it today? Number two, where in your life do you seek recognition more than you offer it to yourself? Where in your life do you seek recognition more than you offer it to yourself? Lastly, number three, eat our son. What does integrity look like when no one else is watching? So they not watching. What does integrity look like? That's a good one. And so in closing, we talked about real recognizing real. And real recognizes real because truth leaves trails. Your integrity isn't just for you, it's a compass for others lost in the noise. And this is the main reason why we're doing this. Because it's not just for me. This is also for anybody else who has been lost in the noise, been lost at any point in time. If you relate to the things that I've said, this is what this is for. Because even though the words of others can discourage us, they can also encourage us. And if inspiration is the highest form, then I seek to bring you up to your highest form. And we do that when we share with each other. So Luke chapter 16:10, as we close this out, says, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. Yet it also adds that, and he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. Honor your small promises. they build towards that unspeakable truth. Yet at the same time, it's telling you that if you are faithful in the least, you're also faithful in that much. And if you are unjust in the least, you are unjust in that much. So don't doubt next time when you see that maybe, because this is what we do when we have an open heart. You are going to make the excuse for others, and you end up being hurt by that. So we don't make the excuses for others. We just make sure that we're not in the way. Because we know that if you are faith of a mustard seed, and if you are unjust in that much, then you are unjust. So we don't need to be confused. Where you're like, well, maybe it was. No, you knew what it was to begin with. And as much as you can keep going against that, that is what's going to distort your reality. And it's what's going to not allow you to trust internally. You're going to trust externally because you didn't believe in it when you saw it, when you felt it. And in Proverbs 23:7, it says, as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. As he thinketh in his heart, so is he. So how you see yourself is how you shape the world.